you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Christine Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers. One of the most important and frustrating realities of business is that you have to manage 6 inches, the hardest 6 inches of business, the one between your 2 ears. Because being decided about your future is going to challenge you in ways that you cannot possibly imagine. And how you stay on track comes down to the voices in your head and the voices in your heart. And on this episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message, I want to talk about the pep talk and the dialogue that happens in my own brain. So, yep, my friends, I'm going to invite you to step inside my world in how I lead myself 5 years into my business and take the lessons for you so that you can make it not just today, but to the future you're creating. I'm your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. If we've not had the pleasure of meeting, I'm a business mentor. I help the emerging entrepreneurs shift from being the operator in their business, doing all the things, to being an effective CEO that leads, loves their business, and creates a legacy for other people. When I first started my business journey, I committed very early on, when I had just one client, to hiring mentors. And mentors in my life have been so critical, and they're a table stakes idea for my business. I will always work with at least one mentor, and currently right now I have two. Two that I pay for, that I spend $50,000 to $70,000 a year on, and they are there to help me manage the 6 inches in my brain. Because what I have in my business skills, not surprising because it's what I teach, is the brass tacks of Business 101. I understand how marketing functions, I understand how sales is effective, and I know the importance of systems and repeatability in the operation side. My skill set, what makes me awesome, the reason people hire and spend money with our services, is because I know how to connect the dots and create what I call an engine of success. I help people know what to do, when to do it, why to do it, and how to do it. And when I need to lead myself, it isn't a one-time thing. It happens minute by minute, hour by hour, year by year. And recently I was leading a retreat. I run every year with a collaborative partner of mine, a women's prosperity retreat. You can find details about our retreats on ChristineCampbellRapin.com. This is to help women become unapologetic about going after what they want in life and business. And the reason I love supporting this way is because it's exactly what I need. It's exactly what I see my clients needing. And it is an opportunity to be peer-to-peer in a way that you so rarely have opportunities to be. Mentorship has been key to the journey. And I was at a time and place in my business where we have seen our business double every year that we've been in. And as a year after year after year has happened, of course, those numbers have become exponential. And I was chatting with this to one of my coaches recently, and he said to me, you know, it's interesting to hear you say this, but I don't think you see the significance. You make more now in a month than you made in your entire first year. I said, yeah, it's true. He said, and that's a pattern for you. It's a pattern of what you teach your clients. I said, yes. He said, why is that possible? And I said, well, it's because of the voices in my head from the mentors I've hired. 2 years ago, I was on a precipice with my business. It wasn't fast growth, but I was at a capacity constraint. And I had to make a decision, more importantly, I needed to execute it, where I was going to fire my biggest client. You must be thinking, what the heck? There were so many reasons I wanted to fire my biggest client. And yet I lingered on that decision way longer than I needed to. I needed capacity, and capacity could be solved by firing my biggest client. I needed the time, space, bandwidth that would be created by that vacuum to be able to course correct my business, change my offer, and bring more alignment into the people I was serving. Was it scary? Yes. Did I delay the decision? Yes. Do I regret the decision? No. I also know I should have made it far earlier. But I hired somebody in my life because what they were doing in theirs called to me. It was this. They were clear and they lived their life by this adage: do the thing that scares you most right now. And to me, the biggest thing that scared me the most was firing my biggest client, because I was going to create a vacuum of revenue that was more than 6 figures in size. I was worried in the short term, could I replace the income? I didn't doubt long term because I had the skills I knew to create client growth, but I knew I would have a short term potential shortfall. But I also knew it was up to me to solve that shortfall and nobody else would do the work for me. So I was needing to rip the Band-Aid off, make the leap, and get to work. So I hired this mentor because they were saying and living this: I did this because it was hard. I did this because it was the thing that scared me the most, and it did this to intentionally push myself to grow. And so the first thing that I always say to myself is, you can do hard things. What's the thing that scares you most? Do it now. And that has been, in the past 12 months, applied in everything from wild roller coasters that go at 100 miles an hour, literally actual roller coasters in Disney, to firing my biggest client, to the biggest investments I've made on stages and getting in rooms and sitting peer-to-peer with some of the biggest names in the industry, like a collaboration with Les Brown. I remind myself I can do hard things and to do the thing that scares me. And so I recently was running this women's retreat, as I said, and I knew that my next level growth was going to require me to take even bigger risks. That it was going to me to push even higher against the wall of what I thought my own limits were. And recently, in the last couple of months, I'd heard something from Jesse Itzler, who talked about his time when David Goggins had lived with him and said, your brain will quit before your body does. Your brain will say, it's enough, stop, but you're not actually at fatigue yet. And the stats are shocking. It's like your brain quits 40% ahead of the game. And that's why this mentality of you can do hard things and do the thing that fears you're afraid of is so important in this mindset game. I was running this retreat with my collaborative partner, Carolyn, and we'd made a commitment to each other to run it. Were there lots of things that were off track, not performing, needed some course correction along the way? 100%. And it even got to the point where we had to have a come to Jesus moment. And we're like, do we continue with this? Is it a priority? And we sat a call in our diaries, and I knew I was walking into that room with a go, no go decision. And I thought, I can't get to great if I don't start. I can't learn the lessons if I never get off the starting block. And so we got into this meeting, and she said, here's our options. We can, write the loss off. We can make a decision to defer it. I can try to negotiate to reduce some exposure we had financially. And she'd come prepared with all the exit plans. And she said, here are all the exit plans. What do you want to do? One of us had to say it out loud. And I thought to myself, I can do hard things. I will hold the line. And I have that mentality of hold the line because of who I choose to be mentored by. I watch my mentors play, holding the line. I watch them both, yes, win, but win 20% of the time and 80% of the time fail. And watch them learn from their 80% failures. And so I said to my collaborative partner, we're going to hold the line. I'm prepared to cover the financial risks. I'm prepared to get my ask on and get moving with my invitations. And I'm really prepared to do the work to have this lived experience so we can get even stronger for next year. And her reaction was as beautiful as I expected it to be. She's like, I'm all in too. You got to be surrounded by people like this in your business. So as we launched our retreat, day one was all about fire. What do you want? Where does passion lie for you? What do you need to burn to the ground? What do you need to use as fuel? And we played with this idea of fire. And that catapulted us into water, flow, course correction, persistence, and eventually to expansion and air. But as I awoke on day two, I needed to be challenged, confront myself. And so I made a decision when I went to bed to set an alarm, to get out of bed, and to go walk around a lake in the dark, pitch dark. But one of the things Carolyn and I had talked in our planning bag was bring a flashlight. I think there are going to be some analogies that we'll use because they're analogies I use with my clients about being the light, turning on the light, and so bring a flashlight. She had brought a flashlight. It was in the room. I went to grab it, and it was almost out of battery. And I mean, barely lighting the way. And when I first got out of bed, let me back up for a sec. First thing I got out of bed, I got up literally out of bed and thought, this is insane. It's pitch dark. I don't really even know where the lake is other than it's behind this property we were staying at for the retreat center. I knew that the thing was about 7 kilometers, 5 miles, give or take, and thought the distance isn't a problem. This is crazy. And I literally turned around and went back to bed. And then I laid there and thought, oh my God, Christine, you can do hard things. Do the thing that scares you. I got out of bed, put my stuff on, went down, found the flashlight in the dark, and then went out and thought, I'm just going to walk towards what I think is the end of the property because somebody told me there was a door, a path, steps down to this pathway. So I was convinced in my brain that I was doing something insane. And I started to walk. I walked maybe 50 meters and thought, this is crazy. I can't see anything and this battery is almost out. I should turn back. And I could hear myself say to myself, Christine, you can do hard things. You learn nothing by turning back other than you're not willing to push your limits. Do the thing that scares you most. And so I kept going. And as I was walking with this flashlight, I also had this moment that occurred to me. When did the dark become so scary? And while I've taken lots of stages and I always think about the energy of what I bring with my heart to the audience, it's been a long time since I've thought about stages with big lights, where when you are on the stage and you are the one holding the light where the light is upon, you're in an incredibly vulnerable place because now I've realized everybody can see me walking on the path, but I can't even see the path. And I thought, this is a lesson. Am I prepared to be standing in the light where I cannot see the haters? Because that next level of growth has haters in it. I know because they're already showing up. I also know that I had to make a decision to keep the light on. And as I kept walking and saying I could hardly see the path, everybody could see me. I'm in an incredibly vulnerable position. Do I have something I want to take up space around? And I kept going. And as I started to walk down this path, I was thinking, it's time to exit. Maybe I'll just keep going instead of, I knew the path was around me around the left, that if I just maybe, instead of going around the left, I'll go straight to the road, come back and get right back to bed. And I thought, oh my God, you're looking for every exit path. The exit path doesn't serve you. So I kept going. I did say to myself, this is insane. Everybody in my life, nobody knows I'm doing this. I'm building in the dark. This is probably the dumbest thing ever if I get slaughtered on the pathway and become a statistic. But who am I in this moment? I want to be the woman who kept going. I want to be the one who confronts what I need to confront on this walk. And I need to be the one who doesn't give up when it's convenient, because what's on the other side is going to be worth it. And I can do hard things. So I keep walking. And I come eventually down the path and I'm stumbling over roots. And I said, the light is still hardly working. I'm pretty sure at this point my light will not work all the way around my pathway. But I'm thinking, well, eventually dawn will dawn. Stay the course. And as I came around the first curve and I started to come back towards the lake, I saw a light in the distance. And the light in the distance, I thought, oh, great. And I totally exhaled. That's the road. I'm going to see that as actually a lamp post, and I'm going to walk towards the lamp post, get back on the safe road and come back. And again, I'm still looking now over and over and over again for the exit ramp until I realized the lamp was moving. And I thought, holy Dinah, that's another person on the path in the dark. I'm going to have to meet a stranger in a dark space where my body could be tossed. I mean, my brain is just irrational at this point. And I was like, okay, well, you got to decide. And I thought, well, hopefully they're with a pet because, pets, if pets like humans, then the human's probably a good human. There was no pet. And this person was coming towards me and they were running with a headlight lamp on. Guess what, my friends? It was another woman in the dark. She was not going my direction, but she was confident in the dark. And I also thought in that moment, she's a beacon for me because I learned the lesson. She's got a brighter light. She's certain. She's running. And there are others in the dark. And so after I exhaled and she said hello and I said hello and we walked each other past and I thought, wow, what a lesson. You got to build in the dark, and there are other women building businesses in the dark. And if you're in the dark building, bring a bigger light, turn the light on, and also don't be afraid to accelerate on a path you can't see. Trust your instincts, trust your vision, and set that in motion. And so I start to feel like this is why I'm on this path. I am building in the dark. I need a bigger light, and I need to trust myself more. And so as I keep walking on this path, I also come around a corner and there's all kinds of dead logs in the water. And I was frightened of the death that I had perceived in that ecosystem. And my brain started to play tricks on me. I kept walking along the path. It's still pitch dark. It's still really hard to see it. I've gone now over brooks. I've started to climb up some small hills. And I start to let my brain filter untruths. I came to a log on the road, which my brain convinced me was a dead animal, a half-dead deer in obstruction of my path. And I was like, well, okay, if it's a dead deer, it's a dead deer. It is what it is. But then all of a sudden I thought to myself, it's not what it is. It's actually a log. Christine, do not let your mind play tricks on you. Challenge yourself to see what is, not what is not. Which I think is a really important lesson as you're building your business. Really question and watch your mind, because you're going to need to know you can do hard things. You're going to need to see things for what they are. You're going to need to build in the dark, and you're going to need to equip yourself to be effective at navigating whatever comes your way, because I wasn't going to change the fact if it was a deer, but I had to go past it anyway. And so as I kept walking down this path, eventually I could start to see that light was coming. Sunrise was coming. It was still a long way away. And when I set out, started my timer on my watch, because I thought, well, I don't really know the path because I didn't actually ever see a map. I thought, well, I know my body. I'll likely walk this 7K thing in an hour and a half. So I put a timer on for an hour. And as I come around my first hour, my alarm goes off. And I thought, oh yeah, no, I'm a long way from where the end goal is. And there's a lesson there. You may think something will take a certain amount of time. Your ability to predict that amount of time is usually utter nonsense. Things are going to take longer than you think. Just plan for that and then add margin. I had added margin, and I knew that I would still be back able to run my retreat, even if this took me another 45 minutes. So I kept going. As dawn starts to arise, though, guess what I started to notice on the pathway? I started to see other human beings, but they were always in pairs. And guess who was it? women in pairs. And I think there's a great lesson here, which is as you start to see a dawn, as you start to see momentum, others will come along in the journey, but you had to start solo. You had to start in the dark. And when it starts to be less scary, when it starts to be more safe, others will lock arms with you. And you need to stay in the pathway to let that natural phenomenon come your way. Because I did start to see women in pairs. I did start to see their animation, their conversation, their willingness to take up space and a bigger amount of it. So I keep walking, passing other women, saying hello, and I thought, wow, I can't believe all the people who are challenging themselves are all women. And guys, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit. And yet this reminded me, find your tribe. Because there are lots of people at home taking the safe route. There's a lot of people not challenging themselves, but my people are the people running in the dark. My people are the ones who are the early adopters, and my people are the ones who say, I will feel their fear and do it anyway. So as I'm rounding the third quarter mark, I'm starting to come back into what I think is the final stretch. I find a pathway, which I think I now see, and it splits in two different directions. One is a steep climb, and one is a flatter, more direct route, which I believe I should take. Stay to the lake. That was my whole philosophy. Stay to what you are tracking. So I took the shortcut. Turned out to be not a shortcut. I pursued this path until I got to a whole bunch of boulders, and I thought, well, I could scramble over the rocks, but I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know if it will actually be safe to do that, and I could end up in the lake. So maybe I need to go back to the other path. So I turned around and had to come back on a path because I wasn't on the right one. And there's a great lesson in that. The first path might not be the right path. It is important that you know that to course correct yourself, because what I wanted to avoid was the steep climb. I wanted a shortcut that wasn't a shortcut. And I had then to make twice the effort to come back before I just had to take a giant deep breath and said, you have to make the climb. You're not at the end. And so there's also a great lesson. On your journey, there will be unexpected detours. On your journey, there's going to be another push when you thought you were done, and you got to commit to doing it. So as I took a deep breath, I started the climb, and I picked up a talisman. For those of you that are watching this, this is the talisman I picked up on it. It's a rock. It actually fits directly in my hand, and it allowed me to focus on my hand and not the climb and the fact that I was oxygen deprived. When I got to the top, I looked back at the road I'd carried. I looked back at the lake that was now starting to be seen, and I was proud of myself. There was nobody there to cheer for me. I had to cheer for myself. And I had to say, I'm proud that I didn't deter when I started. I'm glad I let my mind run and challenge myself. I'm glad I didn't fall short of what was possible to see the summit in the climb I had taken. And so I took a moment and I took a video and I looked at all the grandfather trees I was standing in and thought, I stand tall like they do, because of the proudness I felt for my own courage. Guys, you've got to have mentors in your life that will challenge you, set yourself, and manage your mindset. Because out throughout this walk, I could hear people saying, you can do hard things. Do the thing that scares you. You are capable. Do not let the easy stuff be the hard stuff. The hard stuff will be plenty hard. And when it's plenty hard, take a deep breath and keep going. And as I started to come down the summit, I also started to see more civilization. I saw a beautiful manicured beach and thought, I want to come back and play here. Not just did I want to do the work, do I want the reward? I want the reward and the play to be part of the journey. And I kept going. And I wasn't done, guys. I had one more hurdle to face. I didn't actually know what the property I'd stayed at looked like from the back. I didn't know what it looked like in the light because I'd only left it in the dark. And as I started to walk, I thought, I think I've gone too far. I think I walked past my finish line. And I almost stopped. Until I was reminded once again by what a mentor said to me, great athletes don't train for the finish line. They finish for 5 yards past it. Keep going. Guess what? 5 yards past what I thought was the finish line was the gate that I entered and exited from. I look back now at this journey and I see so many lessons for myself. I see so many lessons for my clients, and I hope this has been a lesson for you. The following day on our retreat, we actually re-walked this path as a collective, a group of women in daylight, and it's fascinating to see what I saw. I walked them through where I saw, the first cutback where I thought I was crazy. I showed them where I thought there was a dead deer. I showed them, the path that I had gotten off course with. I walked them through it. But here's the things I didn't see when I was in the dark. I didn't see that there were giant metal posts in the way. I just navigated them without thought. I didn't see that there was a fence that had actually been chained 3 minutes before I hit it when I walked around the lake, because it wasn't open till the moment at this certain hour when I was on the path. There was a lot of great lessons. I want you to take this episode and challenge yourself to do something hard today. I want you to take this lesson and remind yourself, build in the dark, get the light on, do the hard things. Don't give up when you have your mind playing tricks on you. If you need to course correct, you course correct. If you need to take a deep breath and climb, climb. If you need to start recognizing when it's time to build team and take others with you on the journey, lean in. I know this. It's one of the most profound things I have in my head that was gifted to me by a mentor, which is you belong in every room. My job is to open the door. Your job is to walk through it. I hope this episode is an invitation to walk through the door, because you need to get moving. You have big things to do. And if you need somebody to help you know what to do, when to do it, why to do it, and how to do it, come find me. My name is Christine Campbell Rapin. I am the host of Amplify Your Marketing Message. Save this episode, share this episode, and get moving, my friends. I'll see you soon. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit ChristineCampbellRapin.com/podcast to get a free resource